There's what I see. Okay, see our picture here is that, oh, that's the meeting, right? And that's what we're sharing. Okay.
Now you gotta watch what you
Yep,
say.
we're ready now.
Okay, 9 o'clock, we'll call a meeting to order. For anyone that, is not familiar with our board or who's sitting up front here, JD, will you introduce yourself, please?
Greg Lichty, Bill Wimhoff.
Amy Foltz, Jackie Searles.
Doug Bauman, Commissioner.
Steve Bailey, Commissioner. Mike Whirling, Adams County Surveyor.
Okay, with that being said, our last meeting was March 4th, 2025. If you had a chance to look at the minutes, if there's any additions or corrections, now's the time to speak up. If not, we'll entertain a motion to accept as provided.
I so moved to accept the minutes of March
4, March 4th.
March 4th, yes.
Second. Okay, motion made to accept and second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried. Okay, Mike, George Steel Watershed.
Okay, we put out bids to dip and level this. I have it on the screen here for you guys. 200 north is the beginning of the open drain. It drains way south, so of that through them tiles. Goes up across 250 north and along the old railroad track and ends in the Yellow Creek, dumps into the Yellow Creek. So we had requested 4 bids and we received 4 back. Luganville Excavating, $17,341. Huffman, $17,820. Tri-County, $17,880. And Plumley, $21,150. So the lowest bid and responsive is Luganville at $17,341. There's a little bit of brush on it, but mostly it's cleaning it down there. The bottom end of it is really flat from 250 north, so or from 200 north, sorry. So we have to go all the way up with it. I have in our funds, in our account, we have $8,219.81 in it. We collect $1,157.31 per year. So we don't have enough to cover it. One of the major landowners there, Ted Barger, has signed an agreement that he will cover if you guys, I propose this, so this can be changed. I propose this drainage board putting $7,000 into it. And Ted Barger would pay the remainder, $10,341, collecting it from the other landowners is what his intention is. I was gonna run this by and make sure that our attorney was good on it. I can do that later, I guess.
Well, we better not, until he has a chance to look over it to make sure, we better not, or is this something that you need action on today, Mike?
Well, if we could, we would like to get this done before planting.
Yeah, right.
It wouldn't have to be done. You could make it contingent to the
Attorney's
agreement,
approval?
if you feel that's the right way to go.
Well, first of all, does the board have any questions to Mike about?
It's just basically a bottom clean out.
Yeah.
Yeah, not gonna do any reconstruction on the side or
No,
anything.
no, we just have to get the sediment out of the bottom of it.
And the only reason I bring this up, I know where the tile starts over there by 101.
Yeah.
And that there's a tile, it doesn't show it here, but I think I know there is. There's a private tile that goes across that property, and that corner of that, at the northeast corner of 150 north and 101, that field all floods all the time.
Yeah.
Is that tile at the head wall of this, of the ditch there, the George Steel ditch, is that under right now?
It is, yeah.
Okay, that might flood, okay.
Yeah,
But it's really flat through there.
yeah, it is flat all the way through.
Yeah.
I don't think them tile have much slope on them
No,
either.
they don't.
And the initial intention was just to start at 200 north and dip up past this pipelines here. But there was not enough fall. We couldn't get enough fall.
I have a question.
Yes.
Wasn't the question to Mark was whether or not we collect the money or Ted has to collect the money for escrow? Isn't that where our problem was?
Well, yeah, no, the intention is not for us to collect it. He's going to collect it.
Okay,
Okay, so this
Okay.
is,
okay.
But we don't have that signed in that type of a form.
this is a private project then, we're just
Yep.
kicking in out of the
Right.
system.
Yes, basically. Yep, and we did the bidding and
Okay,
Yep.
so has the escrow, has that committee
There
been
has-
formed?
there has no escrow account been put in. Ted is unavailable the last 2 weeks because he was on vacation since we got the bids back in. I talked to him once and he stopped in one day. So I know we're running this kind of quick and I don't know that it's
Well,
ready.
can't we make a motion to accept it based on that the money that we provide, that an escrow account is created, in which the money is provided by the landowners that shall benefit from this, and that money is provided into that escrow account?
Prior to
Yeah.
the beginning of the project.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah, but we need to include in that motion also, Bill, when we make it, that we are going to use $7,000 out of the
Correct.
fund,
Right.
Yes.
If you guys agree to that one.
Yeah,
That
we
was
have to
me.
agree to that.
out of the system. My question regarding that 7,000 out of the system, do you foresee any other projects that's gonna need some immediate attention out of that system?
I do not at this time, no. I think this is gonna take care of the majority of it. There's enough in there yet to repair tile.
Yeah, because there's only two legal tiles that run into that.
Here's the man.
There's the guy we need, let's just let Clayton have a little, let's go on to the next item and let Clayton review, okay? That way,
Okay, that's fine.
it'll be easier to make that motion later on.
Okay.
Okay, it's a different level. We don't have enough in our funds. I'm proposing $7,000.
And if we're
Okay,
using the
good with that.
mouthful of that motion, he's going to come in and.
I'll come in and tell you really for me.
Come on,
You're-
Jackie.
These guys are real easy. This one is the one that gives me that.
Is good. to start from scratch.
That's true.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So it's- I'm leaving you alone.
So you want me to go forward and,
If, do
or,
you wanna, how much time does Clayton need to make sure that we're good here?
We're only in 7 minutes.
We can wait, we can go on Clayton if you need time.
No, it's good.
It's good.
we used this form a number of times already
Yeah.
on, a drainage tile and on an open drain, so.
Okay, Bill, that's gonna change your motion a little bit, but, you wanna attempt to make a motion then? Or unless JD, Greg, any more? Steve, you okay?
That's all we really need is a motion.
I hereby make a motion that we accept the bid of Luganville at 17,341, that the Adams County Drainage Board submit $7,000 of that fund from the maintenance fund, and that an escrow account be established by the remaining landowners in the watershed to cover the balance due.
Is there a second to that motion?
Just wait a minute.
Okay, Jackie?
Freeze for a second. Quick question. If Ted is saying, I will pay for it all, do they have to set the escrow account up? If Ted has already said, I am going to pay for this
Ted
and
should
then
put it,
collect.
Ted should put it in
Put
escrow.
it in the escrow account.
Ted should pay it to an escrow account
Yes.
to be held.
So you want the escrow account, you want his money in the bank before we start? Is that what
Correct.
we're saying?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
all right, that's what I want
Yes.
to make sure.
Just to
Yeah.
Okay, I'll deal with his
Yeah.
motion later.
secure.
It doesn't,
performance, yeah.
in my opinion, when we did this, I didn't care who put the money in, as long as an escrow account was established.
Just 'cause the money's.
And, yeah, as
Okay.
long as it's there, that's all I
All right.
cared about.
Right.
So,
Okay, JD, second the motion. Any further discussion on the motion and project? If not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried, all opposed? Motion's carried.
Okay, next one we have Ron Ayers, open drain. Now. Same thing, we bid this out, me get to it. The, Lucaville excavating, again, I'll read them all, $15,100. Plumley Farm Drainage, $18,250. Tri-County Excavating, $19,715.
That was with trucking, without trucking was 19.
Without trucking, yeah. There's a short section that the landowner will, pay to haul it off of their property. And Huffman Bulldozing and Farm Service Incorporated, $36,525. This would be a good spot to tell you, Mr. Huffman is sitting here. His quote is different from the others because it exceeds what we requested. He was going to mow the banks, right? Am I right on that? And trim them banks.
That was done, they left the stumps up, so.
Yeah, and clear it out. The landowners have brushed it already, so. So that was the difference, and also on the George Steele, that would have included mowing that also, right? That's different than what we have done in the past. He's doing a service on that mowing above what the contract is. I wanted that out there. That's what that one was. In this system, we have $20,710.77. And yearly collection is $3,730.33. As I said, the landowners are gonna haul off along the house that is there and probably a little bit farther back because they have some places they wanna fill. So, landowners or the tenants, farmers there. So our bid was $15,100. The system has $20,700 in it. So that would leave us with, $5,000 in there. I think that's enough to cover our expenses on that. We've done quite a bit. That we could pay for that whole amount. That's discussion for you guys.
There's no brushing needs done.
Yeah, the landowners cut the brush off through the winter. There's a couple little trees farther south that, they didn't do where the residential moved in there. But, I could, but they did a really good job there.
Well, first of all, we have to make a decision on the contractor. And obviously, there's one significantly lower than the rest, so I guess, Clayton, do we need a motion to accept the lowest responsible bidder on this project?
I would, just for, sake of the minutes.
Okay, first of all, well, is there discussion on the bid submitted, first of all? No discussion, okay. Then, I guess I'd entertain a motion to accept the bid that the board chooses to use on this project.
Move to accept the lowest bid of $15,100 from Lucaville.
Second.
And a motion to accept a $15,100 bid from Lucanville and second. Any discussion from board
And that'll all be paid then out of the
system?
system fund?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, the board, the Lucanville then is the successful bidder on this project. Then, Mike, you indicated that the entire amount would be paid out of the system, is that correct?
That's what I would intend, yes.
Okay, are there any questions concerning, using the funds out of the system to pay for the project?
The money's available, that's what it's there for.
Okay, then I entertain a motion in that respect.
Also move.
Bill?
Second, JD, Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, then Mike, board has decided that the, funds will be used from the system to pay for this project.
Okay. Indeed. So the next one we have Rice Watershed. Let me get, I have that, I give you printouts on that, so. Pulling it up here. So this is on State Highway 218 and 116 on the corner. It's the Lynn Grove Quarry down there. US Aggregates owns that now, and they operate that. They have purchased this field to the west here, 40 acres. I gotta zoom in a little.
These sheets underneath there.
Right in here, and you can see it on your map, on that large print. They would like to prep this and start stripping the topsoil off there to quarry that, to harvest the quarry, to rock. Their intention is to do it in quarters across there, a quarter for the whole, north and south the whole way, so that it does. As you can see on the map, sorry. They are looking at rerouting a section of the Rice Open Day, actually abandoning it along the west side of their quarry and the east side of the new property. Let me get back up here. Thank you. So, their original thought was to take that Rice Open all the way around the west side. And that because of the expense, they are now proposing to catch all the water from the south side there along 218 and reshape that short section of the Rice from to the east there and drain that open ditch into the quarry, run it into the quarry. And it doesn't take much slope change there because that's pretty flat too. So that's the big one, all the open drain along the west side here, along their new property, they would like to abandon. When they say abandon this section.
They realize that when they do that, they're not just they're gonna get gray water going in that.
Yeah,
Thing.
so
Okay.
we discussed all of that.
Okay.
The landowners to the south here really like that idea
Well, yeah.
because they're number one, they have to catch all their tiles along here and they're gonna have to dig that to find out where they're at. Along the south side, along the north side of 218 there, south side of their property. And the landowners down here are saying they're gonna run that in there. So.
Then they're gonna pump it out the east side
And then
of
they'll pump it out.
116?
Yeah, they'll pump it out and they have a in-pit holding pond there, but it'll drain down here as my cursor and into this area. And their pump is somewhere about where I'm at here.
What are you doing with the?
That pipe is a straight lift up, straight vertical lift. And it has a big screw pump in there.
Yeah, but do you have any idea how high they're gonna have to lift?
It's over 200 feet, I believe.
That's pretty good.
200
feet.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's really deep in there.
Don't want to fall.
Pump.
Yeah, and it's a straight ledge
Tone
there.
this one up.
Straight edge.
Yep, it's a straight ledge that they have, so, the other part of it is, there's this, tile running through the middle there called the,
Yeah, okay. This one,
all right, it wasn't quite,
I can't read it.
Ecro. The Ecro tile, they would like to catch that on their west property line, the northwest side of that thing, and run a new tile around into what will be the head of that rice ditch, and then let it flow like it does now.
So that would all have to be pumped too.
No, that'll be drained.
That'll be a drain.
Yeah, that one can drain because this everything now where it meets here, this rice flows that way anyway. So, that's all subject to finding the tile, making sure grade works and on and on.
I assume they're gonna submit a set of plans to
Yeah.
your office.
That's what it is. So what they were looking at from you guys is a preliminary go ahead to develop plans. Because they didn't want to start doing this if it was gonna be a definite no.
Did they get it, did they get things settled with the property owners along 218?
Yeah, well, no, they don't know where they're at yet, the tile, but they are willing to say we will catch all of that water along 218 and from this house there and get that into the rice here that goes down.
Wasn't there some controversy about, with the homeowners on
Yes.
I
on
think
the
that's been
whole
settled.
property to
So-
That's
begin
been
with?
settled.
There was, Tim Baker represented all them landowners around there. One of them started and he represented the rest of them. I contacted him and he said that they're all good with this plan now. They would go with it. And he said, actually, I'm not working for him anymore. They released him.
Hmm.
So,
Well, okay, just north of the just north of the acquired property.
right up here.
Yeah. Is that gravel underneath, 6, 8 feet underneath dirt? Is
Oh.
that gravel too?
Some places they're telling me it's 2.5 feet.
North of
The
this?
rock is 2.5 feet
Right.
of topsoil there.
So,
a 4
so
foot-
how long will it be before they go north and then we'll be visiting this again?
The thing with it is, it depends on, you know, what the cost is to get the stone out and everything like that. I mean,
How hard the rock is?
how hard the rock is.
So the rice open here has been redone how many times? That was done once on yours, wasn't it?
It was done twice when I was surveyor.
Okay, yeah. And this is all new along the north side there. Within the last, what, 20 years?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's been done 3 times. It's done 3 times, because the original one went right through the middle of the quarry.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then they
Kinda,
relocated it.
kinda where this runs here.
Yeah.
Is where it started. 'Cause
That's where it started, went
I
right
go
through the
back.
quarry.
This is a cost of business for them. I asked them, how can you do that? That's their cost of business. I know where they're digging, over here now. I said, why is that so discolored there, the wall there? And he says they're in an area that has too much clay in it with the rock.
Mhm.
And that clay messes up their, crushing and separating system. They have a tough time doing that. So there's a lot of spoil down in the bottom here that they're redoing, probably around in this area here somewhere. That they're hoping, well, I'm sure that they have borings already, that they have better rock over there, so. They're willing to do this.
I'm not smart enough to think this all the way through to the end, but what happens? We abandon our open ditch. They agree to basically take on that water and deal with it. What happens if someday they aren't there?
Well, Bill can help me too, but I would say that fills up with water.
The same,
Well,
same
so
as
the
Carson's.
biggest,
Out
the
there by
biggest
Newport.
key to this whole thing is that our elevation of our ditches and tiles going there are higher than what the holding pit that they're dumping the water into.
Yeah.
If that takes place, the tile will never back up. It will flood their quarry,
It'll
but
flood.
you know, what do we care if they abandon it? We, you know,
Yeah.
Be like out there by Newport and Cars.
correct,
Yeah,
correct.
Mhm.
right.
But if our tile are lower than what they're holding, they have to pump it, that becomes a concern. That's why engineered drawings are so important here to see where we're at as far as elevations are concerned.
Right, yeah. So they didn't go that far yet. They think it's feasible. Looks like it's feasible. But they didn't go ahead on it because of, I guess what we're looking for, a preliminary
You need to-
approval.
I think they're asking for that, that the board here is in favor of what they're proposing.
Yeah,
And then
What we
I
see
think
right
we
here.
need to revisit, once we get final plans, and say, yes, we will accept these plans, or no, we're gonna have these changes done to it before we'll say, yes, you can do
And
this.
in them plans, I think we need to know all the tiles from the landowners
Oh,
around there.
I
Make sure
agree. I
that is
think
all-
that's something that has to be
That we
shown.
don't short them guys.
Because
for-
those are the people who are gonna be mainly concerned, because if they only have one tile out there for their residents there, they wanna make sure that that outlet's there.
Okay, so today, the board needs to decide whether or not we wanna permit this project to go forward to the next
Give
stage.
preliminary approval that the idea looks good.
Okay, we need a motion to that effect. If there's not more discussion.
No.
Are you
Um,
okay?
No, Only thing I can add to it is over here on 116 where the Rice crosses under
Mhm.
116. The state highway is looking at a project there. They've done their preliminary meeting, but nothing went forward yet. It's not funded, I guess. That's how the state highway talks. They've done the preliminary work on it. It's not funded.
You're talking about on the east side of the quarry.
Yeah, east side of Quarry, and that's where they're pumping out of. I have requested in them meetings that they lower the culvert deeper there so we can, they can get it, they just have to bust rock out. You know, they didn't lower it previous because it's all rock. So I've requested now that whether that's gonna be in the final plan or not, you know, we'll have that say when state highway gets done.
Well, you know,
Depending.
I remember the comment that you told us that the state highway says they don't have any drainage going into our
Yeah.
ditches.
Oh, they say that every time. Yeah.
So, you know, if they don't wanna play ball with us, we don't have to play ball with them.
Well, we need a motion to, permit this study to go further, for further review.
Also make that motion to accept the preliminary review, subject to this board receiving a set of full detailed plans on how they plan on doing this
Mention the tile.
for the Echo tile and the Rice open ditch relocation.
That should cover it. You okay with that?
Second.
You need a second?
That's
JD, okay. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, aye.
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 Motion's carried.
Okay, the next one we have on there is the Hobbicker watershed. What I'm looking at here and what's on your map is 500 south and 150 east. And the highway department is sitting here. This is another one like we did on 000 last year. The erosion of the Hobbicker is dipping away and we have one spot about where my cursor is over here that's about, right now it's 6, 7 feet from the edge of the road. This is a quick and dirty plan of figuring out what we had there. The severe slippage, you see my 116 feet and there's 162 feet that need definite fixing there. And all these little ones down here are just beginning erosion. Probably will take some riprap in them and the riprap to fill that. I don't know. Am I right on that? You don't think we have to go all the way along them?
No, I think the
Sure.
spots you have marked are the ones we need to address now.
Give me the location again, Brad.
500 south between 100 east and 150
Yeah,
east.
so right north of Lehman Feeds. Yeah, and Lehman actually owns some property on the south over there, I think, so the family. You wanna add anything to what I said here?
No, it's pretty straightforward on this.
What we have to do is dig that dirt out, put a toe in there and riprap that, so that the riprap stays there. That's the intention.
I assume the county highway department's gonna haul the riprap and everything for us?
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, and correct, we're going to share the cost.
Okay, just like we did on
50-50, just like-
000.
Yeah, we can do 50-50.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of surface flow from these fields along there. That might be something you guys can address with reshaping the ditch there
We need to address that, we can.
and get that to flow down to the bridge here and go across. That would help a lot of this, or not a lot of it, it would help the situation there.
Yeah, there's not much of a side ditch here on the south side.
You have an estimated cost?
No, we don't. Well, no, okay, let me start back over on that. If I'm taking what we spent on 000 up here, it was roughly $100 a foot to do that. This system, get back to my figures. We're looking at about 785 feet there of total. And if I figured out $100, actually I figured at $98 a foot. It comes out to $22,062. So this is not a bid price, this is what we have, what we had from the other one.
If I'm looking here, right, the Hallbaker right now has $41,563.03 in it.
Yes.
And we're collecting 10,231 a year on it.
Pretty healthy.
Yeah, it's a healthy
Yeah.
system.
Yeah, it's a big system. It's a large system.
Yeah.
This covers a lot of area there. Acreage on that, you got it in front of you. How much acres is in that system?
Brad, is there, well, the proximity to the road is fairly close, right?
Correct.
This will take care of any concerns you have on that stretch?
Yes. Yep, they'll do just like they did on 000. They'll cut the toe, lay the stone in, and then they actually, made the top of the bank a little wider also. So yes, this will address our concerns.
And, obviously, the drainage, as Bill pointed out, we're healthy enough to stand our 50%.
I think we could, yeah. Yep. This has 4,366 acres in it. The Hobby,
Wow.
the total
it's a big
system.
one.
Like
Yeah.
old house.
Okay, other discussion from the board? Okay, JD, Greg, okay. I'll entertain a motion, for between the highway and, share 50/50 with the system to proceed on with this project. If there's no other discussion, we'll entertain a motion.
Also move.
Thanks, Bill. I need a second.
Okay, Greg seconds. Further discussion? None, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Oh, I'm sorry. No one objects, motion's carried.
So you'll get quotes on this then, Mike? How do we?
I assume you guys will wanna bid at least an estimate there, right? Other than my $98 a foot.
And that was based off of last night's price.
Yeah.
You know,
Unlike other situations, this is a safety situation, in which it's getting so close to the road that we really don't have a choice here. We gotta get it fixed.
But
And-
does safety fall on the drainage board?
Well, it's our ditch,
Yeah.
so yeah, it does, yeah, it doesn't. I mean,
That's a discussion we have to have.
yeah, I mean,
That's
that's,
like a big chunk of money for a small section of the watershed.
yeah, I understand. But what do we do? You know,
Yeah.
the highway's willing to share 50% of this with us,
Yeah.
and we're not having to tackle the total bill as if this was out in the
They're not
open
having to
field.
tackle the total bill either.
No, that's right. And they get their tax money from gasoline tax, no, not property tax.
Yeah. Okay.
Good comments, JD, we appreciate those.
You wanna add
I
anything?
agree. It's one of the reasons that I think the county had a resolution at some point to stop allowing legal trains to parallel roads, because it was done historically to add tillable acreage, but the cost of maintenance is far more than the benefit for the farmers. They get a fractional acreage by putting it next to the road, but by putting the infrastructure on top of each other like that, it causes problems like what you're seeing right here. So
Okay.
it's not a good practice to do. I don't think it should be done again, but unless the property owners are willing to work out trying to undo that.
Cause in the drainage code, there's even a section that says if the costs exceed the benefits that the landowner shall receive, the project shall die.
So
Well, the motion's been made and accepted to at least finish this one, but we appreciate the input, looking at it from all directions here.
so this will be bid
Appreciate
out,
that.
and we'll have contractors actually do this highway.
Yeah,
will do this,
is
right?
that intention to,
Yeah, we don't have to big enough equipment, right? Reach
Yeah.
it.
this takes a large excavator.
Right.
Their intention is to haul the stone again, right?
Correct.
Haul the riprap, so that saves the share down there, so.
Mike, would you like to discuss anything else while we're in session here?
No, the final thing is, this is a gravel road, but it has a lot of traffic on it. And there's a lot of buggy traffic down there. Am I right on that? You can see the traffic, so, it's surprising how much traffic that road gets, I believe.
Mike, you wanna just give the board a quick 101 on your plan as far as perhaps a vehicle down the pike here for you?
Okay, yeah, so that's, I have that coming up. Number one, we have the dump truck that we have replaced I have it over at Crickburg auction by the commissioners, of approval or, advice. And the trailer is over there also. That's April 18th of 25. That'll be auctioned off. We put a reserve on the truck of $20,000. The trailer has no reserve because that is a well-used trailer. They're telling me that truck should bring $20,000 to $30,000 easily. Kevin took off the decals and he washed and waxed it like a really nice truck. I mean, it is a good truck.
Don't
shouldn't say it
looks
looks like
It
it.
is a good truck.
It looks really good, is what I should say.
He previously had a job before he did this one.
So, and the commissioners also looked then at replacing the vehicle that I drive, the Ford Explorer, 2014, are we, or something on that. It's over 100 and almost 120,000 miles now. They have told me to start the process of bidding out for a new vehicle. With our discussions and with my need, the problem with that truck is it's too low to the ground. You go off road with it, there's no clearance on it. I've only been stuck a couple times, and that really makes the guys happy. The contractors are my crew, if they can pull me out. I'm looking at a similar truck as an F-150 Ford, crew cab, full crew cab, extended cab, short bed on it. Tow package, and really not too many other, things. I think that will meet our use the best, what we can do, so that's the commissioners,
The good news for the drainage board is, the drainage board don't have to come up with pay money here. Okay, that's fine.
Have at it.
You can do whatever
As a
you
matter
need.
of fact, you're gonna have a bill today for the lettering on the dump truck. I said to Tony, I don't have a line item. I think commissioners need to pay for this.
You don't own the vehicle.
No, I
So-
said we don't own it, so they're gonna have to pay for it.
it's a good thing that the commissioners are willing to do this. It's a bad thing that all these funds from the auction have to fall back into the general fund and have to be reappropriated, right? Is that the right word? Through the council.
Could be a good leverage, don't you think, Steve?
Yeah, I think it'll work.
Yeah, okay. Anything else, Mike?
So the guys are here and in your packet, we have Matthias Miller, legal open drain, and that's the pictures you have of the guardrail and an aerial of the feet of it. Since you guys are aware of ditches, open drains being along roads now, this is another one like that. Of interesting, if you look at the guardrail picture there, you see them tracks down through there?
Mm-hmm.
Them are buggy tracks. And there's actually a scraping up farther there, wasn't there some?
There were two prints in the folder as well.
You can see where
That would have been
the buggy wheel had scraped along that guardrail.
Yeah.
Got the rack.
Wonder if that happened on a Sunday evening.
Why does everybody say that?
So Highway Department is putting out, you have bids out or ready to let?
Right
Nothing,
there,
okay.
one page
This is
out.
all preliminary. We need to do some.
This is probably more of a hazard than the Hobbit. And that's what my opinion would be.
this one was already protected with the railing because it was so tight. So.
Yeah, there's 205 feet here of, the ditch along the thing. So if you take our $100 again, you can figure that out.
What's the location of this again, Mike?
It's on 400 South, right east of Salem Road.
West of State Street.
Right, west of Salem Road. Thank you.
You're other east.
The property is BBB Farms, that's Burkhart, and the south side is where Lynn Burkhart lives on the east side of that, drain there.
Yeah.
Nate kind of said, if you look farther up on the ditch, it went out. He did a cut there. If we relocated that drain, it wouldn't have to be along the road. I said, yeah, no farmer's gonna go with that. They actually said they'd consider
I
it.
spoke to Lynn Burkhardt. He's gonna speak to his mom, who actually owns the ground. see if they'd be willing to straighten that ditch out, just totally get it away from the road. But if not, we're gonna have to address the issue now.
Now, is this gonna be a very possibility of being a very similar thing that we just discussed and proved?
essentially.
Yes, correct. It'll be the same type of project, other than this one, as you can see in the pictures, it is already at the edge of the road.
So, you take the same-
Okay, are you going to, okay, the one we just approved, we didn't talk anything about a guardrail. On this one, would you remove the guardrail?
So Nate has graciously agreed to, it's older guardrail anyhow, to have the guardrail replaced.
Replace.
So if the ditch can't be moved away from the roadway, saying kind of cut the the corner out from that bridge. It is next to a bridge. This is right next to Bridge 122. So there's already an abutment there and an extension of guardrail. So you'd have to have a minimum guardrail for the bridge itself. Right now, what that is it's just a 200-foot extension. It doesn't go 200 feet today, but I would prefer to extend that to protect that whole slope. That's something we could do if the ditch doesn't move. I would recommend that we replace the guardrail once the slope is stabilized enough to hold it. So right now the slope's failed and it's actually pulled the guardrail down. There's actually two of the upright posts are not there.
So right now, this is just for our information.
Yep,
Mhm.
so there's really not much you can do about it at this point. If the property owner agrees to try to move it, it's under 300 feet. Then we could try to move that away from the roadway. And then the guardrail could be 50 feet, 200 feet, and the slope stabilization could be very, very minimal.
What system is this, Mike?
Matthias Miller, so in the account right now, $11,660, I rounded up there. Our yearly collection is $4,500. Per acre is $250, minimum is $35. We have 1,542 acres in that entire system. It dumps into the Blue Creek outright, north and west of this.
So what's the time frame for advising the board about further action?
This week I'll reach out to Burkhart's again, that was just last Friday, I talked to them. And, see if they've had time to discuss it, because this, I'd like to know by the end of this week whether they're willing to accept that. If not, but yeah, we gotta move on this. I've already got temporary reflective A-frames there inside the guardrail to keep them, traffic pushed away from.
Okay, Bill?
This is a question for Clayton. Can't the drainage board relocate the ditch, then pay for damages for relocating that ditch?
I believe.
Yeah, they can.
Okay, so this is just a question. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. Let's say she says no, but we determine that we need to relocate that ditch. Can we go ahead and still do it and pay her damages for relocating that ditch?
It's likened to, a takings or like eminent domain of,
Okay.
the county taking property. So, yeah, I mean, would it be a fast process? Not the
No.
quickest, but it would be structured. I mean, I'm sure similarly to like in just general real estate takings of eminent domain. First, you have to send them a qualified offer letter saying, hey, we're going to do this with your property. We're offering you fair market value.
Right.
If they decline, then you may have to go to actual court proceedings. So.
It'd be nice if they say yes, but I agree with, the highway department on this, because these ditches, they keep working their way closer and closer to the road, and it's something the commissioners are gonna have to deal with.
Well, at this point in time, Brad, why don't you, work with Nate
Yep.
and Mike?
Yep.
Find out what the recommendation is gonna be next, get yourself on the agenda and we'll address it.
Correct, we're hoping to be back next drainage board meeting.
Good. Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be the, what date is that, the 14th? Well, I looked this
No, I
morning.
don't have my calendar.
And sorry, just to heads up, there's a few others we're keeping an eye on right now.
Within,
Last few years, these ditch banks are really moving. You've noticed them even in the fields,
15th.
they're just sliding away.
Okay, next drainage is the 15th, Brad.
Okay,
so
plan on being back.
I believe by statute, if we relocate that ditch, that is a reconstruction that we would need engineering plans on that. Am I right on that one? So we would need to have that to get it done. But it's just not a maintenance on it, it's a relocation, so. We'd have to be looking for a qualified engineer.
Surveyor.
Okay,
So-
well, that's the plan on this one, Mike. What else you have?
No, I think that's everything unless you guys got any questions.
Anything
for
from
me?
the board? Greg, JD, okay? Bill,
Good.
Steve,
Good.
motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Bill, second,
Second.
motion's carried.
Thank you, guys. That was a lot of
Good. Good discussion.
Of
Hey,
stuff
got
today.
done 15 minutes early.
Good work.
Thank you.
Okay, who
Thank you,
has
thank
the
you.
Lara Lawn culprit?
Apologize for slight tardiness.
Thank you.
It was kind of impromptu. You guys know, normally Mark at least comes.
Congratulations.
I've covered more and more drainage work, but Mark is out then, like I mentioned yesterday, so he had, he has that surgery.
I was on for 22 years, then I took a 4-year
Yeah.
maternity leave.
No, obviously.
So, yeah, Doug has a lot of
And like,
experience.
instead of just agreeing 50%.
Don't ever get offended, he goes once in a while.
We had beautiful weather down there. We were in Florida for,
You've seen.
2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2.5 weeks.
All right.
Just,
That's all right. It's springtime.
I would.
It's springtime.
Surveyors work for it, you got an excellent,
It's just completely different than it used to be.
You're going to
Now,
have
you know,
some big
Yeah.
you've seen all over Facebook
Yep,
and
that's
even the
what we're
weathermen,
seeing.
You'll be fine.
talking about
You'll be fine.
these alleged storms that are going to occur on Wednesday.
So,
You know, 48 hours ahead of time. It's like,
I know.
when did that start? Cause there's a good chance it's gonna change.
Well, the interesting thing is though, they're pretty accurate. You know, I grew up in a time when weather forecasting, you might as well throw a dart. Now, maybe not a week out, but a few days out, I plan my day around those forecasts. I plan my life, what we're gonna do outside, what we're gonna do inside.
Do I believe that on Wednesday it's definitely going to rain? Yes. But, you know, my hope is maybe.
Yeah, is it gonna be a bad storm? I do think they err on the side of caution.
Yeah, cause like they really hyped up Sunday's storms and at least in this area and in Fort Wayne, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
No,
North,
North Indiana,
yeah.
it was bad.
It's pretty interesting.
Even a direct case, we have a layer. Direct is like.
So where do you go for something like that? Dallas? My wife's been for years in the Arizona job every week.
Yeah.
This is their route.
Her least favorite airport of all is O'Hare.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like it, but
And usually the horse.
it's the easiest.
doing good
Right.
right.
Where it's going.
The horse knows the
So it was
connections.
just- Yeah, it was just, Detroit used to have a direct line.
Really? Horse
Yeah,
goes home
but when COVID.
Detroit was
yeah.
northwest, yeah.